The sky over Earth was unnaturally dark, an ominous blanket that had descended without warning. It was unlike any eclipse. This darkness bore the weight of an alien armada. The Zargan Empire, a name whispered in the deepest corners of human space exploration mythos, had finally made themselves known in the most terrifying way possible. Commander Elena Marquez stood atop the tallest observation deck of the newly built Orbital Defense Station Alpha. Her eyes, usually alight with the fire of 1,000 tactical plans, were fixed on the colossal ships that blotted out the stars. Each vessel was a testament to an advanced civilization, one that humanity, despite its strides, had not yet matched. Below her, Earth was a swirling mixture of panic and defiance. Cities were in lockdown, military forces scrambled, and every screen across the globe displayed the same chilling message from the Zargans: submit or be destroyed. Elena felt the weight of humanity's fate on her shoulders. She had fought in skirmishes against rogue AIs, managed asteroid mining operations, but nothing prepared her for this. The Zargans demanded Earth's resources, its people, and its future. A future where humans would be nothing but subjects in an alien empire. The silence of space was broken by the hum of human communication channels buzzing to life. Despite the fear, humanity was not a species that bowed easily. Elena watched as general assemblies, the United Nations, and newly formed coalitions debated, their words echoing through the station's speakers. But there was little time. The Zargans had given them one Earth day to decide. In the heart of the station, Alex Chen, a young but renowned engineer, was already at work. His hands flew over controls, his eyes scanning through schematics. He was modifying the station's defense systems, enhancing them with every trick and hack he knew. "We're not just going to surrender," he muttered to himself, his voice a whisper of determination against the looming threat. The intrigue of why an empire so vast and powerful would bother with Earth was a mystery that gnawed at Elena. Was it just resources, or was there something more? Intelligence from their brief encrypted communications suggested the Zargans feared human potential, our ability to adapt, innovate, and resist. As the deadline approached, Elena made her way to the command center. The room was a hive of activity, screens displaying the Zargan ships, data streaming in from Earth, and the tense faces of those who knew what was at stake. "We don't kneel," Elena declared to her assembled team, her voice cutting through the murmur. "We fight. We've got one shot at this." The plan was desperate. Use the station's experimental gravity wells to disrupt the Zargan formation, buying Earth time. But it was a gamble, one that could either save humanity or doom it to extinction. As the final hours ticked away, an eerie calm settled over the station. Outside, the Zargan ships lit up, their energy signatures rising, preparing for what might be the annihilation of Earth. Inside, every human soul was united by a singular resolve, not to submit, but to fight back. The story of humanity's defiance was about to begin, with the echoes of submit or be destroyed ringing in their ears, turning into a battle cry of we will not yield. The air inside Orbital Defense Station Alpha was thick with tension, the hum of machinery a constant reminder of the war machine humanity had become overnight. Outside, the dark silhouettes of the Zargan Armada were a menacing backdrop to Earth's fragile beauty. Elena Marquez, standing before a holographic display of the solar system, traced her finger along the trajectory of incoming Zargan scouts. "They're testing us," she said, her voice steady but laced with an edge of urgency. Beside her, Alex Chen, his eyes bloodshot from hours of coding, responded, "Then let's give them a surprise." He had reprogrammed the station's defense drones to act autonomously, using tactics that mimicked the unpredictable movements of clouds in a storm. In the command center, a mix of military and civilian personnel watched as the first wave of Zargan ships approached. The room was silent, save for the soft beeps of the consoles. "We can't let them know our full capabilities," General Hiro Takahashi interjected, his voice calm but authoritative. "We show them just enough to make them cautious." The screen flickered, shifting to live feed from space. Earth's new Titan ships, massive constructs of human ingenuity, moved into position. Built in secret under the guise of space colonization projects, they were armed with experimental energy weapons and cloaking technology. "Engage Protocol Shadow Dance," Elena commanded over the comm. One by one, the Titans vanished from sight, their cloaks rendering them nearly invisible against the void. The Zargan scouts, expecting an easy sweep, were suddenly met with explosions from nowhere. "See, they're retreating," Alex pointed out, a smirk breaking through his exhaustion as the Zargan ships pulled back in disarray. "They didn't expect us." But the victory was fleeting. The real threat was the Zargan main fleet, still ominously positioned, waiting. In the midst of this, Dr. Li Wei, a xenolinguist, entered the room, her arms laden with tablet devices. "We've intercepted more communications," she announced, her voice tinged with excitement and fear. "There's something off about their language. It's not just about conquest, there's a hint of desperation." Elena turned, her interest piqued. "Desperation? How so?" "Their syntax, the urgency in their commands. It's like they're running from something, or towards something with a deadline we don't understand," Lee explained, her eyes scanning the data. The intrigue deepened. Humanity wasn't just a target, but possibly a key piece in a larger cosmic game. This revelation sparked a heated debate among the command staff. "Maybe we can use this," suggested Captain Maria Santos, a pilot with a reputation for daring maneuvers. "If they're desperate, we can exploit it." As they strategized, the station vibrated with the sound of thrusters igniting. The Titans were preparing for another sortie, this time with a new goal: capture rather than destroy. "We need one of their ships intact," Elena decided, her gaze firm on the holographic map. "Alex, can you rig a trap? Something to disable an engine without destroying the whole ship?" Alex nodded, already tapping away on his console. "I can try to overload their shields with a feedback loop from our energy weapons. It's risky, but if timed right." As preparations continued, Elena walked among her crew, her presence a silent testament to human resilience. She spoke to each, offering encouragement or a sharp command, her leadership binding them together. The plan was set. Humanity would fight back, not just with force, but with wit and cunning. As the Titans moved out again, cloaked and ready, the gravity of the situation was palpable. Earth's future hung in the balance, and for the first time, humanity wasn't just defending. They were making a calculated strike into the unknown. The silence near Mars was deceptive, a calm before the storm that could be felt in every breath aboard the human ships. The asteroid belt offered the perfect cover for the cloaked Titan ships, their crews waiting in tense anticipation. Commander Elena Marquez's voice cut through the comms, steady but edged with urgency. "Remember, we hit hard, we hit fast, and we get out. No heroics." In the lead Titan Vanguard, Captain Maria Santos gripped the controls, her eyes scanning the void for any sign of Zargan scouts. "They think we're weak," she murmured to her co-pilot, Lieutenant Jamal Carter. "Let's prove them wrong." Jamal, once an asteroid miner with a knack for improvisation, nodded with a grin. "Got the EMP mines ready. If they get close, they'll regret it." Back on Orbital Defense Station Alpha, Alex Chen monitored the operation, his fingers flying over his console. "Elena, we've got a problem," he said, his voice tight. "The Zargan scouts are moving in a pattern. It's too predictable. They're baiting us." Elena frowned, her mind racing. "Baiting us? For what?" Before Alex could answer, the sensors lit up. A second wave of Zargan ships, larger and more menacing than the scouts, emerged from behind Phobos. "Ambush!" Alex shouted, his voice echoing through the command center. On Vanguard, Maria reacted instantly. "Jamal, deploy the mines. Full thrust, evasive maneuvers." The ship lurched as they banked hard, dodging a volley of plasma fire. The EMP mines erupted into life, disabling one of the Zargan ships, its lights flickering out into darkness. The battle was chaotic, human ships darting through the asteroid field like fish in a coral reef, using the natural cover to their advantage. Elena, watching from afar, ordered, "All ships, use the asteroids. Let's make this their graveyard." The twist came when one of the Zargan ships, instead of engaging, began to emit a strange signal. "What's that?" Alex questioned, his voice laced with curiosity and concern. "It's not a weapon, it's a beacon," Dr. Li Wei interjected from the station, having intercepted the signal. "They're calling for reinforcements." The realization sent a chill through the command center. The Zargans had predicted this engagement, perhaps even orchestrated it to draw out humanity's capabilities. In the heat of battle, Maria's ship took a glancing hit, damaging their cloaking device. "We're exposed," Jamal yelled as alarms blared. But Maria wasn't one to give up. "Let's make it count then. Target their command ship with everything we've got." The Vanguard unleashed a barrage of missiles and energy beams, aiming for the heart of the Zargan fleet. The strategy worked. The Zargan command ship was rocked by explosions, its control over the fleet faltering. This moment of chaos allowed the human ships to retreat, pulling back into the asteroid field's protective embrace. As the dust settled, or rather, the debris floated in the void, Elena assessed the damage. "We've won this round, but at what cost?" One Titan was lost, and several others were badly damaged. The human victory was Pyrrhic, the celebration muted by the knowledge of what might come next. On the station, the mood was a mix of triumph and dread. Alex, looking over the data, noted, "That beacon, it's still sending. We've bought time, but not much." Elena nodded, her gaze hard. "Then we use that time. We need to understand why they're here, why they're so desperate." The intrigue of the Zargans' motives deepened, their actions suggesting a race against time, or perhaps against something far worse lurking in the cosmos. The chapter ended with a call from Maria, her voice weary but resolute. "We got them, Elena. But next time, we'll need more than just surprise. We need to know what we're up against." This engagement had not only showcased human resolve, but had also revealed a layer of the Zargan strategy, hinting at a larger, more complex game at play. The aftermath of the skirmish near Mars left Orbital Defense Station Alpha buzzing with activity, the air thick with the scent of burnt circuits and the hum of emergency repairs. Commander Elena Marquez stood in the command center, her eyes fixed on the holo display showing the lingering beacon signal from the Zargan ship. "We need to know what that beacon is saying," she stated, her voice carrying the weight of command. Dr. Li Wei, the xenolinguist, was already deep into her work. "It's not just a distress call. It's coded. I'm working on cracking it, but it's unlike anything we've encountered." Alex Chen, his attention split between the damaged systems and the data streaming from the battle, chimed in, "If we can decode it, we might understand their next move." The intrigue was palpable. The Zargans were not just invaders, but players in a game humanity was only beginning to comprehend. Meanwhile, a salvage team had managed to secure a section of the disabled Zargan scout ship. The atmosphere was tense as the team, led by Lieutenant Jamal Carter, now back from the battle, prepared to board the alien vessel. "Keep your suits sealed. We don't know what's in there," Jamal warned his team, his voice echoing slightly over the comms. They entered through a jagged tear in the hull, their lights cutting through the darkness of the alien interior. The ship's architecture was bizarre, with shifting walls and bioluminescent panels that seemed to react to their presence. "This place is alive," one of the team members whispered in awe. Back on the station, Elena received an update. "Commander, we've got something," Lee announced, her voice excited. "The beacon, it's not just calling reinforcements, it's also broadcasting our location to someone or something else." Elena's eyes widened. "Someone else? Explain." "It's like they're not just fighting us. They're broadcasting to another party. Maybe they're not the only ones interested in Earth," Lee speculated, her fingers flying over her console. The mystery deepened, suggesting a more complex scenario where Earth was not just a battlefield, but potentially a prize in a larger conflict. Inside the Zargan ship, Jamal's team discovered a chamber unlike any other. In the center floated what appeared to be a data core, yet pulsating with energy. "This could be their brain," Jamal mused, "or their library." They carefully extracted the core, knowing it might hold the key to understanding the Zargans' true intentions, or even their weaknesses. As they moved back to their ship, an unexpected event occurred. The walls began to constrict, as if the ship itself was trying to keep them inside. "Move, move," Jamal shouted, adrenaline fueling his commands. They barely made it out, the ship sealing behind them like a living organism expelling a foreign body. Back on the station, the data core was immediately taken to a secure lab. Alex, eager to delve into its secrets, connected it to a containment system. "This tech is beyond us, but I think I can interface with it," he said, his voice a mix of excitement and caution. As they began to decipher the alien technology, the screen in the lab flickered to life, not with data, but with images of other worlds, other races, some at war, some in ruins. "What does this mean?" Elena asked, watching the parade of alien civilizations. Lee, her mind racing with possibilities, answered, "It could mean the Zargans are not just conquerors but collectors, or perhaps they're fleeing something. This might be their history, their warning." The lab on Orbital Defense Station Alpha was alight with the glow of alien technology, the Zargan data core pulsing as if it had a heartbeat of its own. Commander Elena Marquez stood beside Alex Chen, who was interfacing with the alien device, his eyes reflecting the data streams. "This isn't just a history," Alex muttered, his voice a mix of awe and urgency. "It's a chronicle of fear, of running from one enemy to face another." Elena watched as images of destruction across different worlds played out. "They're not just conquerors. They're refugees from some greater threat," she deduced, her mind piecing together the puzzle. Dr. Li Wei, who had joined them, nodded. "These images, they're not random. There's a pattern. They're showing us what they've faced, might be warning us." But before they could delve deeper, alarms blared across the station. "Incoming Zargan fleet!" the voice over the comms announced, cutting through their revelation. Elena turned to Alex, urgency in her eyes. "Can you use this to predict their next move?" "I'll try," Alex responded, his fingers flying over the console, attempting to correlate the data with the current situation. As the station prepared for another assault, Captain Maria Santos, back from her near-death experience, was already in her Titan Vanguard, her voice crackling over the comm. "We're not just defending. We're proving they picked the wrong planet to mess with." In the void of space, the Zargan ships approached. Their numbers doubled, their intent clear. The human fleet, though battered, was ready. Jamal Carter, now leading a squadron of fighters, shared his plan. "We'll use hit-and-run tactics. Keep them off balance." The battle was fierce, human ships darting in and out, using the debris from previous engagements as cover. Maria's voice was a constant. "Stay sharp. We hit where it hurts most." But the real surprise came when Alex, back on the station, managed to hack into the Zargan communication network using insights from the data core. "I've got control of their targeting systems," he shouted in triumph. "I'm redirecting their fire." Suddenly, Zargan ships began firing on each other, confusion reigning supreme. This unexpected turn gave humanity a brief but critical advantage. Elena watched the chaos unfold, her mind racing. They're not just invaders, they're desperate, fighting on multiple fronts. As the battle raged, a lone Zargan ship, different from the others, broke through the human lines, heading straight for the station. It wasn't attacking, it was fleeing. From its hull, a pod was jettisoned towards the station. "Secure that pod," Elena ordered, her curiosity piqued. Could this be a defector, or something more sinister? The pod was brought into the station under heavy guard, revealing a Zargan, injured but alive. It was unlike any they'd seen, smaller, with different markings, almost like a scholar or diplomat rather than a warrior. "I come with knowledge," the Zargan rasped in broken human speech, its voice filled with pain but also urgency. "Not all of us want this war." The intrigue deepened. Here was an opportunity to learn directly from an alien, perhaps to understand their true intentions or the nature of the threat they were escaping. The battle outside continued, but inside the station a new front opened, the diplomatic and intellectual battle for understanding. Elena, Alex, Lee, and now this Zargan were at the heart of it, each driven by a mix of courage, curiosity, and the human spirit's indomitable will to survive and thrive. The Zargan defector, named Zalcor, lay in the makeshift medical bay on Orbital Defense Station Alpha, his alien physiology a puzzle to human doctors. Commander Elena Marquez stood over him, her eyes searching his for truth. "Why have you come to us?" she asked, her voice a blend of suspicion and hope. "To save my people. And yours," Zalcor replied, his voice weak but earnest. "We flee from the Devourers, a species that consumes worlds. We thought Earth was uninhabited by a place to hide. The revelation sent a chill through the room. The Zargans were not just invaders but desperate survivors, and now Earth was in the crosshairs of this new threat. Meanwhile, the battle outside raged on. Alex Chen, working tirelessly, had managed to integrate some Zargan tech into human systems, enhancing their capabilities. "Elena, I've got something," he shouted over the comm, "a way to disrupt their shield harmonics." "Use it," Elena ordered. Her focus split between the battle and the alien before her. Back in space, Captain Maria Santos and her squadron took advantage of this new tech. "All ships target their shield generators," Maria commanded, her vanguard leading the charge. The Zargan ships, suddenly vulnerable, began to take heavy damage. Jamal Carter, piloting a fighter, weaved through the chaos, his voice crackling with excitement over the comms. "We're pushing them back!" But the tide of battle was precarious. A massive Zargon dreadnought, previously holding back, now surged forward, its weapons lighting up the void. "Everyone, scatter!" Maria yelled, her heart racing as she maneuvered Vanguard through the debris of fallen ships. On the station, Zalcor shared more about the Devourers, his words painting a picture of an unstoppable force. "They come for energy, for life. We must unite, or all is lost." Elena, absorbing this, knew the time for diplomacy was now. "We'll help you, but we need your knowledge, all of it," she stated firmly. Zalcor nodded, a gesture surprisingly human-like. "I will give you what I can, but time is the enemy." As the battle intensified, Alex's modifications began to show their true power. A group of human ships, now with enhanced shields and firepower, concentrated their attack on the dreadnought. The ship shuddered under the assault, its massive form beginning to break apart. "Keep pushing." Maria's voice was fierce, her ship darting in for the kill. Just as victory seemed within reach, new signals appeared on the sensors. "Incoming ships. But they're not Zargan," Alex exclaimed, his voice a mix of shock and curiosity. From beyond the asteroid belt, ships of unknown design emerged, their configuration unlike anything in the Zargan or human fleets. Were these the Devourers, or something else entirely? Earth was under siege, the once vibrant blue and green now marred by the scars of war. The Zargan armada, despite their losses, continued their relentless assault, their ships blotting out the sun. Humanity's defenses were stretched thin, the orbital defense station Alpha barely holding against the onslaught. Commander Elena Marquez watched with a heavy heart as cities below were bombarded, the human spirit undeterred, but the physical toll immense. Her gaze shifted to the new arrivals, the unknown fleet whose intentions were as mysterious as their origin. They hovered, not attacking but observing, their presence an enigma. Inside the station, a tense silence filled the command center. The screens showed the carnage below and the standoff in space. Alex Chen worked feverishly, trying to decrypt the new fleet's communications, his fingers a blur over the console. Suddenly, a betrayal shook the foundation of human resistance. General Hiro Takahashi, previously a staunch ally of Elena, made a move that was unthinkable. Under the guise of a strategic retreat, he ordered a portion of the fleet to disengage, pulling back from the defense line. It was a move that left a gaping hole in Earth's defenses, one the Zargans exploited immediately. Elena felt the sting of betrayal, but had no time for it. She rallied the remaining forces, her mind racing for a counter-strategy. The new fleet, sensing the shift, finally made their move, not against humanity, but against the Zargans. Their ships unleashed a barrage of energy that was unlike any weapon seen before, disrupting Zargan ships at a molecular level. It was clear now, they were not the Devourers, but perhaps another force in this cosmic conflict. Zalcor, the Zargan defector, watched this unfold with a mix of relief and dread. His people were losing, but at what cost? He whispered to Elena, the only sound in the room. "They are the Sentinels. They watch. They judge." The Sentinels' arrival shifted the balance, but the battle was far from won. Earth's atmosphere was now a battlefield, with human ships engaging in desperate close-quarters combat. Maria Santos in the vanguard led a counterattack, her ship darting through Zargan debris, her actions speaking louder than any words. The intrigue deepened as it became clear that Takahashi's betrayal was not his own decision, but influenced by a hidden Zargon operative within the human ranks, someone who had turned the general against his own. This revelation came too late, but it sparked a last-ditch effort to reclaim the advantage. Elena, with a heavy heart, ordered the capture of Takahashi, knowing that internal threats were as dangerous as the external ones. The betrayal served as a stark reminder of the war's complexity, where trust was a luxury they could barely afford. As the chapter neared its close, the Sentinels began to communicate, their message clear through the universal language of technology. They offered an alliance against the Devourers, but at a price. Earth had to prove its worth in this cosmic struggle. The action peaked as human and Sentinel forces combined, a desperate push that finally began to turn the tide. Zargan ships fell from the sky like meteors, but the cost was high, with human lives and cities sacrificed. The skies of Earth were a tapestry of chaos and light, the remnants of the Zargan fleet clashing with the combined might of human and Sentinel forces. Commander Elena Marquez aboard Orbital Defense Station Alpha watched as the battle reached its zenith. The air was thick with the scent of ion discharge and the echoes of explosions. The Sentinels, with their advanced technology, had provided humanity with a new weapon, a device that could stabilize space around a target, effectively freezing it in place. Elena knew this was their chance to end the Zargan threat once and for all. "Target the Zargan command ship," she ordered, her voice steady despite the turmoil. Alex Chen, now working alongside Sentinel engineers, recalibrated the weapon, his focus intense. Outside, in the void, Captain Maria Santos piloted the Vanguard with precision, her squadron weaving through the battlefield, protecting the station and the weapon from counterattacks. She felt the weight of every move, knowing each could mean life or death for millions below. The suspense was palpable as the stabilization device charged, its energy signature growing, a beacon of hope amidst the destruction. Suddenly, the Zargan command ship, larger and more formidable than any other, tried to break through the human lines, its weapons blazing. Jamal Carter, in his fighter, led a kamikaze run, drawing fire away from the station. "For Earth," he shouted, a battle cry that resonated through the comms, his ship's explosion blinding against the darkness of space, sacrificing himself to give the stabilization device the time it needed. The device fired, a beam of concentrated energy that seemed to bend reality itself. The Zargan command ship was caught in its grip, its movements halting as if time had stopped around it. The ship, unable to maneuver or attack, was now a sitting duck. "Every ship, focus all fire on that ship," Elena commanded, her voice echoing determination. Human and Sentinel ships concentrated their firepower, an unprecedented show of unity. The Zargan command ship, under this relentless assault, began to buckle, its shields failing, its hull rupturing. The suspense broke as the ship exploded in a spectacular display of light and debris, sending shockwaves through the remaining Zargan forces. Leaderless and outmatched, the Zargan ships began to retreat or surrender, their resolve shattered. Back on the station, the tension dissipated, replaced by a cautious celebration. Alex, his face lit by the screens, muttered, "We did it. We actually did it." But victory was not without its cost. The aftermath showed the scars on Earth, cities in ruin, lives lost, but the human spirit unbroken. Elena faced the reality of rebuilding, of healing, but also of new alliances and the unknown threats still out there. The Sentinels, through their enigmatic leader, communicated one last message: "The Devourers are but one threat. Your world has proven its worth. We will watch and we will aid when needed." With this, the Sentinel ships began to depart, leaving behind technology and knowledge that would change human science forever. Elena knew this was not an end, but a new beginning, a step into a larger universe where humanity was no longer alone, but part of a cosmic community. As the dust settled, or rather, as the debris floated in the vacuum of space, Maria returned to the station, her ship bearing the marks of battle. She looked at Elena, a silent acknowledgement passing between them of what they had overcome. In the silence that followed the battle, Earth began its recovery. The story ended not with a grand celebration, but with a quiet moment of reflection among the survivors, looking up at the stars, now both with fear and wonder. They had won the day, not just through violence, but through unity, sacrifice, and the indomitable human spirit that said, "We will not yield."